We pick up where we left off from the last episode as Rex Splode is kneeling in front of King Lizard at gunpoint. You would think something would miraculously jump in to save him at the last second, especially with King Lizard delivering the usual villain monologue, but King Lizard instead shockingly shoots Rex Splode in the head, killing him off for good. Meanwhile, the rest of the Guardians are fighting off the Hive back at the Martian spaceship. Eve is still laying unconscious, and the team is doing their best to defend her and fend off the Hive, while also giving Rudy enough time to work on his nerve disruptor. Shapesmith jumps in to surround the unconscious Eve and the hard-at-work Rudy with his body, while the Hive beats the hell out of him. It works long enough for Rudy to finish the nerve disruptor and give it to Invincible to attract the Hive and blast the hell out of them. The rest of the Guardians, including Immortal and Monster Girl, do what they can to ease the way for Invincible, but he still gets overwhelmed by the Hive anyway. He powers through with the help of Immortal one last time and activates the disruptor, killing off a huge portion of the Hive. Everyone celebrates, but their celebration is cut immediately when they realize that Adam, Eve, and Rudd have been consumed by the Hive and are now the new hosts. Immortal and Invincible each take one of them, and they restrain them to activate the device one last time, freeing both of them and finally having the chance to run away before the rest of the Hive retaliates. Back at the military base that was taken over by the Lizard League, Rex Splode shocks Lizard King, and also me to be quite fair, and gets a second wind, waking up with a literal bullet hole through his skull. Lizard King tries to mock him, but Rex Splode gets so angry that he beats the Lizard King to a bloody pulp, possibly even killing him, before losing consciousness again. We also find out that Shrinking Ray is still alive. The rest of the Guardians try to escape, but they are stopped by the Martians, who want to punish the Shapesmith by executing him. The Guardians appear to be understandable, but they immediately run away with the Shapesmith and the human astronaut as the Martians follow them and shoot at their ship. Invincible takes it upon himself to personally destroy the Martians' ships to help the team. The Guardians thank him, and Immortal personally shakes his hand, showing that he might have gained his full respect. Cecil checks up on Debbie and the baby, while also delivering the news about Invincible being okay. They talk some more about Cecil taking the burden of the baby away from her because she is not expected to raise Omni-Man's child. Debbie, however, argues that it was never about Omni-Man, it was always about Invincible, and how his half-brother must mean to him. She is also confident in her ability to raise him, since she raised Invincible. Cecil concedes and leaves the house. Meanwhile, the Guardians arrive back on Earth and deliver the human astronaut to the hospital. They see Donald waiting for them and discover what happened to the rest of the team. With Shrinking Ray and Rex Splode being in critical situations, and Duplicate being straight up dead with no hope for a miracle, everyone is distraught at the discovery and coping in their own melancholic ways. The Guardians attend the funeral of Duplicate, and Immortal delivers a heart-wrenching speech about Kate's bravery and how kind her soul truly was, fighting for the sake of a world that killed her over and over again. After the service, Immortal has a few words with Black Samson, talking about his feelings for Kate and how he realizes that although he had many lovers before, somehow Kate is different. Meanwhile, Invincible meets up with Amber to catch up. It is as awkward as you may think, and both of them actually acknowledge it. They talk about their feelings and how they have less and less time together, but also Amber doesn't want Invincible to neglect his duties as a hero, because this is why she came back in the first place. They are both stumped, not knowing what to do next. Invincible goes back to his dorm to see Donald with his best friend, as they reintroduce his best friend's boyfriend back, looking as healthy as ever. Invincible notices Donald getting amped up and shaking, but Donald brushes his concerns off. Invincible goes and meets with the recovered Rex Splode. They tease each other about their sorry states, and chat a bit about life and consequences of being a hero. Rex talks about his life flashing in front of his eyes and how he didn't like what he saw. Invincible, apparently, talks about his recent relationship troubles as well, but the conversation is cut. Eve then comes around after Invincible leaves, and Rex Splode gives her a vague answer about Invincible and Amber's relationship status. Meanwhile, Debbie is interviewing multiple nannies for the position of taking care of Oliver, Invincible's half-brother, while she is away and working. She brushes off most of them after they lie to her when they are obvious spies for Cecil. One of them, however, is as honest as they come. She tells her point blank that Cecil sent her, shows how knowledgeable she is about her situation and in the field of taking care of children in general. She impresses Debbie enough to consider her. Cecil visits Eve at her treehouse. He thanks her for her help with the Guardians and asks if she can come back to the team since Duplicate is dead and most of the team is injured or absent-minded, as in the case of Immortal. Eve is still conflicted and thinks it is too soon, so they tell each other that they will revisit this, and that they both know where to find the other one if their mind changed. Cecil leaves, and suddenly, Amber shows up at Eve's treehouse as well, and tells her that they need to talk. Meanwhile, Invincible goes to Art to talk about his relationship with Amber. Amber talks with Eve, and Invincible talks with Art, and we see how both of them care deeply for each other, but are having trouble navigating their relationship further and realizing that the other person deserves someone better than them. This conversation concludes with both Art and Eve asking them why they are talking with them when they have plenty of time now to talk with each other. Art also gives Invincible the sci-fi books that Omni-Man used to write when he was younger. Maybe these are the books he talked about. Invincible goes back to his dorm to read his father's science fiction books. They are all from the first-person perspective and describe things that eerily sound like actual possible threats and weaknesses to Viltrumites. One story talks about a myth regarding an alien bounty hunter of some kind, wielding an infinity gun that is so powerful it just might take out their species. Another story talks about his expedition with a partner to a savage planet where the gravity was too intense for them, and the creatures inhabiting this planet being stronger and more vicious due to their environment, leading to Omni-Man barely escaping with his life intact. Invincible reads some more and appears to have figured out something. Cecil tries to talk Immortal to a vacation, but Immortal is too furious to accept. Suddenly, they receive signals of someone entering the atmosphere, and Immortal immediately flies to it, thinking it was Omni-Man. It was actually Alan the alien finally arriving back to Earth to talk to Invincible. Immortal thinks he is a threat, and they fight before Invincible interrupts them and explains everything to Immortal. Immortal feels like an asshole and he flies back to Earth as Alan is finally left alone to talk with Invincible. They go back to the dorm, and Alan tells him about Thaddeus, and Invincible tells him about his meeting with Omni-Man again. Alan then tells Invincible about the coalition of planets and how he wants him to officially join the fight against the Viltrumites. Invincible refuses his request, however, stating how his relationship is in a weird place and he needs to stay with Amber for now. Alan understands where he is coming from, but is still disappointed that he will return empty-handed. Invincible eases his concerns a little and shows him the books his father has written about things that can kill Viltrumites. Alan scans them and thanks Invincible for his help for now. We see Omni-Man being interrogated by the Viltrumite general. The general is trying to plead with him and talks about his achievements and glory that he brought back to the Empire and how he can just join them again, but Omni-Man refuses to yield. The episode ends with the human astronaut cleaning his apartment and puking up another hive creature that overtakes him once again.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Pretty good episode for a follow-up to the last banger one. As expected, we see the relationship between Invincible and Amber deteriorate once again, leaving you questioning, why the fuck did she come back in the first place? The rest of the episode seems to extend more on the narrative and character side before more action happens again. This brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me, what do you think of this episode? On a scale of 1 to 10, how stupid do you think Amber is? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.